What if I told you that two little girls remembered exactly how they died in their previous lives? And scientists have no explanation for it. Stay with me, because what you're about to hear will shatter everything you thought you knew about death. This isn't some Hollywood movie or internet hoax. This is a real case that left doctors, psychiatrists, and researchers completely speechless. By the end of this story, you'll question everything you believe about consciousness, death, and what happens when we die. Trust me, you've never heard anything like this before. Our story begins in 1957 in the quiet English town of Hexham, Northumberland. John and Florence Pollock lived a simple life with their two daughters, 11-year-old Joanna and 6-year-old Jacqueline. The family attended the local Catholic church regularly, and John Pollock had always been fascinated by the concept of reincarnation, a belief that put him at odds with traditional Catholic doctrine. Florence, however, was skeptical of such ideas. She believed in heaven and hell, in the finality of death, and in the church's teachings. Little did she know that her world was about to be turned upside down in the most unimaginable way, the tragedy that shocked a nation. On May 5th, 1957, what started as a peaceful Sunday morning became the stuff of nightmares. This wasn't just any ordinary tragedy. This was the kind of horror that makes national headlines and haunts communities for decades. Picture this. Two innocent little girls, Joanna, 11, and Jacqueline, 6, walking home from church with their friend Anthony. They're laughing, skipping along the sidewalk without a care in the world. Their whole lives ahead of them. Then, in one terrifying moment, everything changed forever. A car, completely out of control, mounted the sidewalk at deadly speed. The driver had suffered what experts believe was an epileptic seizure. There was no time to run, no time to scream, no time for miracles. Bam! All 3 children were killed instantly. Can you imagine? 3 young lives snuffed out in the blink of an eye. The entire town was in shock. Parents held their children tighter that night. Everyone was asking the same question. How could God let this happen? But here's where our story takes an impossible turn that will blow your mind. The prophecy that seemed insane. Now, this is where things get absolutely crazy. Dear. John Pollock, the devastated father, said something that made everyone think he'd completely lost his mind with grief. Through his tears, he looked his broken wife in the eye and said, "Don't worry, Florence, the girls will come back to us." What? Can you imagine hearing that? Florence was horrified. She thought her husband had snapped. How dare he suggest such a thing when their babies were lying in coffins? But John wasn't crazy. He was convinced. This man believed so deeply in reincarnation that he got down on his knees every single night and begged God to return his daughters. Night after night, praying with an intensity that would make your hair stand on end. His wife thought he was delusional. The neighbors whispered he'd gone mad with grief. Even the priest was concerned about his mental state. But guess what happened next? This will give you goosebumps. The miracle begins. In September 1957, just 4 months after the tragedy, Florence discovered she was pregnant. The timing seemed both a blessing and a cruel joke, but John saw it differently. This pregnancy, he believed, was the answer to his prayers. When doctors informed the couple they were expecting twins, John's conviction became unshakable. On October 4th, 1958, Florence gave birth to twin girls. They named them Gillian and Jennifer. From the moment they entered the world, these children would challenge everything their parents thought they knew about life and death. The first signs, as the twins grew, were subtle but honestly quite unmistakable. Jennifer, the younger twin by 10 minutes, bore a striking birthmark on her forehead in the exact same location where Jacqueline had received a significant scar when she fell at age 3. Jennifer also had a birthmark on her hip, identical to Jacqueline's mole. The odds of such specific markings seemed astronomically remote. Meanwhile, Gillian began displaying characteristics that reminded everyone of Joanna. But, it was their behavior that truly began to convince even the skeptics that something extraordinary was happening. Hold on to your seats, because what I'm about to tell you will make your skin crawl. When the twins were about 4 years old, something absolutely mind-blowing happened. The family decided to visit their old neighborhood in Hexham. Remember, the twins had never been there before, yet as soon as they arrived, Both girls started doing something impossible. They began pointing to places and calling them by name, places they had never seen before. Gillian shouted, "That's where we used to live." And Jennifer chimed in, "And that's our school." The parents were frozen in shock, but it gets even more terrifying. They didn't just recognize places, they recognized people. They waved at neighbors who had known Joanna and Jacqueline. They asked about family pets that had died before they were even born. But wait, it gets worse. The behavioral evidence was just as compelling. As the twins grew, their personalities began to mirror those of their deceased sisters in ways that absolutely stunned their parents. Gillian, like Joanna, was responsible, mature, and academically inclined. Jennifer displayed Jacqueline's more dependent nature, always looking to her twin for guidance. They even recalled events and conversations from their sisters' lives with startling accuracy. And then came the moment that broke everyone. Florence had kept all of her deceased daughter's belongings locked away. One day she brought out a box of toys. The moment the twins saw them, they screamed, "That's mine!" Each grabbed the exact toys that had belonged to their corresponding sister, without ever having seen them before. Florence collapsed in tears. Even the skeptics couldn't explain this away. Scientists can't explain this. Word spread to Dr. Ian Stevenson, one of the most respected reincarnation researchers. After months of investigation, he found no fraud, no coaching, no way the twins could have learned this. In his report, he admitted this case was extremely difficult to explain without considering the possibility of survival of consciousness after death. The evidence was so compelling it became one of the most documented reincarnation cases in modern history. The fading memories. As is common in such cases, the twins' memories began to fade as they grew older. By school age, the vivid recollections dimmed. The truth that changes everything. The story of the Pollock twins forces us to consider that death might not be the end. Whether you believe in reincarnation or not, the evidence is impossible to ignore. Death might not be the final chapter. Love might transcend the grave, the question that will haunt you. If the Pollock twins could return to their family after death, what does that mean for those you've lost? Don't stop here. If this story blew your mind, you need to smash that like button. This story needs to reach millions. Hit subscribe and ring that notification bell. We've got more incredible stories. Drop a comment. Do you believe the Pollock twins were reincarnated? Share this video. Your friends need to see this.